Most people start writing a thought leadership book the wrong way. How? They sit down at their device, crack open a new document, and expect that every idea about their book will flow effortlessly from their brain onto the screen. They assume that they'll be able to write perfect prose from beginning to end and that their first draft will be their final one. That is not reality. What that is a recipe for frustration and quitting before you've even finished your first chapter. Smart authors don't start writing their books that way. How do I know? Well, I've ghostwritten, edited, or consulted on dozens of manuscripts. My authors and I always start writing our books with strategy. We crack open our devices armed with purpose and a plan, empowered to start writing and complete a publication ready manuscript. So, if you want to write a thought leadership book that gives you more visibility for your career or business, but you're struggling with getting started and you want to learn a doable strategy for starting to write and finishing your book, then this video is for you. I'm Denise Renee, your business book bestie. Here is my signature book, and these are some of my clients. I help professionals write books that make their business, career, or thought leadership brand visible. Now, as your business book bestie, I do not believe in gatekeeping. So in this video, I'm going to break down for you my proprietary 4 steps to start writing your book system. It's a duplicatable process that I've developed over my years of experience as a freelance ghostwriter, editor, content writer, and book writing coach. It is the same process I use with all of my clients and the same process that I use to write my books. And those 4 steps are: number 1, start with the end in mind. Number 2, determine your book's type or style. Number 3, brain dump and organize your ideas. And number 4, create a formal title and a working outline. Check the description box below for timestamps to help you navigate this video and for more helpful links. And you can download this free infographic that you see on the screen at 4steps2startwriting.com. Each step sounds simple enough, hence making it very doable, but they are layered and they build on each other. So let's go through those steps. So step 1 is to start with the end in mind. Now, I definitely experienced this for myself way back in 2019 when I first thought about writing a book for my business. I was actually helping other people with writing their books as a ghostwriter and as an editor. And I realized that I needed to have a book for my own business. I wrote the first draft in 2019 and then I revised it in 2020, and then I didn't publish it. That's a whole story that I've shared in other content. I'll spare you in this video. But a big reason why I didn't publish the book at that time was because I felt like it wasn't quite going to do what I really needed it to do. My goal at the time was to get more ghostwriting clients. But the book that I had written was really based on the types of conversations that I was having. People wanted to write their own books, and they had a lot of struggles and a lot of fears that they needed to overcome in order to do so. And so I wrote a book to help those people. But I was like, that's not really going to target the ghostwriting clients that I want, because I want the people who want me to write their book for them. So I shelved the book. I lived a little life, about 5 years worth of it. And then, as time would have it, I decided to shift my business to wanting to work with people who want to do their own writing and then bring me on either as their writing coach or as their editor. And now that book was a fit for my goals for my business. And so now I'm finally publishing that book. It's called Write Your Book: 10 Mindset Hacks to Move You from Fear to Finish. Find out more about it at writeyourbook.tips. So it took some time, but I gained some clarity and it helped me inform my next round of revisions on that content. And you really do need to know who your intended audience is for your book in order to write the best content for them. That's why I didn't release that book. But when you get started knowing who your book is intended for, you can write a book that's going to speak to their needs and their desires. And you're going to have a successful book as a result. So when I talk about starting with the end in mind, you need to understand who's the target audience that you're going for. What is it that they want help with? How does that intersect with how you help? And what are you intending to get out of this book as a result? Understanding those things will help you to craft the perfect book for the perfect audience that also helps you perfectly accomplish your goals. So, getting clear about your goals and the end that you want your book to accomplish, I can't overstate that, especially when it comes to writing a thought leadership book. You're not writing a novel or collection of short stories to entertain, where it's subjective. You're looking to write a book that has a purpose. So everything has to align. When you start with the right end in mind, the entire process, not just writing your book, but marketing and selling your book, comes a clear path for you to follow. I didn't say it was a straight path. I didn't say it was a perfect path. I just said it's going to be a clear path. I will say that when you grab your free copy of this infographic at 4stepstostartwriting.com, you're going to get introduced to the full entire 4-step system, which includes a workbook and an audio lesson that helps you explore these questions and more. So don't forget to grab your free copy at 4stepstostartwriting.com. So once you've clearly defined your goals, your audience, and your topic, get a head start on your writing by picking the right framework. So step number 2 is to determine the right style or type for your book. So, Bestie, you have 2 choices when it comes to writing your book. You can write it the hard way or the easy way. The hard way is feeling like you have got to come up with the best new book format, the best new way to tell your stories that no one's ever seen before, honey. And you are going to be a trailblazing literary god with a small g. Go ahead. You could try that. I'm not saying you won't be successful. It just might be a little bit more of a tougher road to follow. The easy way to write your book would be to follow a pathway that's proven, that's tried and true. My suggestion is don't try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the type of book that you write. Write it in a style that people are already familiar with. The easiest way to write a book is to model what has already been successful. And this is exactly what I did for my client, Kimberly. She came to me at a time when she had a book idea in her head for 10 years, but she was struggling to get it written. She'll be the first to tell you, she's like, look, I'm not the greatest writer, but I've got all of these great ideas. She had started and stopped and started and stopped. So we got together. She told me what she wanted to share. I created a format for her book, borrowing from a couple of different styles and techniques that I knew would work for the content that she had. Once we had this format or this framework in place, boom, the manuscript got written in less than 4 months. When you have a strategy, when you have a format to follow, writing becomes easier. It gets done. I mean, there's a reason why when you either walk into a Barnes and Nobles, which is probably like the last major bookstore standing these days, or when you go to scroll on barnesandnobles.com or amazon.com for books, you go shopping in specific genres. They have the fiction over here, the nonfiction over there, the cookbooks over there, the diet books over here, the science over here, the religion over here. You go to these separate categories. And then within those categories, there are certain formats to these books that readers tend to like. If you stripped away the story, you would find that there are just a handful of frameworks that each book follows. Tap into one of those frameworks and fill it out with your content. Boom, writing now becomes fill in the blank easy. Now, like I said, when I worked with my client Kimberly, I came up with a hybrid format which cherry picked from different formats that I knew would work. In my free download, I share with you the 3 book formats that I recommend thought leadership authors look into as a format to follow. So be sure you download it at 4stepstostartwriting.com. So let me ask you this question. If you were able to identify a book format that you felt your content could follow, would that make writing easier for you? Drop down in the comments and let me know your thoughts. And while you're down there, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more thought leadership book writing content. So now once you're clear about your end goals, who your audience is, what your message is, and you figured out a format to put your content in, now let's get started writing. You are going to brain dump and then organize your ideas. One of the biggest mistakes that new authors or young writers make is obsessing over coming up with the perfect first line. Don't bother, okay? Sometimes it's very inspired and you'll put down a first line, and that first line will survive all the drafts and all the edits that you will go through. But it's very likely that it's not. So take the pressure off and don't worry about it. The first thing that I always encourage authors to do is to just get your ideas on the page, don't judge them, leave them there, and then we're going to go back and work with it. And that's exactly what you're going to do with the brain dump. A brain dump is exactly what it sounds like. Dump the contents of your brain out onto the page or onto the screen. It is as simple as that. There are some guidelines that I share with my clients that will help make sure that the brain dump you do becomes very usable for you as the basis for your first draft. That's all this is. It's basically a preliminary first draft because writing is a process. It's very rare that it's a one and done thing, especially when you're looking to write something for a wider audience. If you're just journaling for yourself, you could write one and done. But when you're writing for an audience, you're writing a book, you want it to be commercially successful, you need to get feedback from editors, from beta readers. And what they have to say will influence you and it cause you to go back and rewrite and revise some things. So that's why getting the first round of words on the page, don't obsess over it at all. You're going to brain dump, and then I give you some principles for how you can organize it so that it becomes the foundation of the first draft of your book. And I introduce you to those principles inside the free version of the 4 steps to start writing your book. So make sure you check the description box for the link to get your copy. Did I mention that there's no money involved? Just drop in your email address and you'll get access to it right away. So now once you have your initial words on the page, your ideas no longer exist in your head. Now they're real. You can see them and you've got something to begin to work with. That's when it's time to crystallize those ideas by creating a working title. And we're going to take that brain dump and shape it into a formal outline. Now, here's the key to creating a powerful title for your book. Your title of your book should be like the promise that you give your potential readers of everything they're going to get inside of this book. It should be crystal clear. Shouldn't be some cutesy little title that no one but you understands what it means. That's why the title of my book is Write Your Book. It's clearly for anyone who's interested in writing their book. Now, to distinguish it from any other book out there on the market about writing a book, I provide a subtitle, which explains a little bit more and helps to really zoom in on the target reader who should read this book. My book has 10 mindset hacks to move you from fear to finished. So the book is all about helping you get over whatever mindset blocks, fears, concerns that you may have about writing a book so that you can actually go ahead and write that book. It's not about specific writing tactics or strategies, although you might pick up a few in there. But this book is really to help that person who's struggling with just the idea of writing and becoming an author. Your book title has to do the exact same thing. Be clear. And just like the whole writing process is a process, at this point in the game, you can come up with what I like to call a working title. At least you have a statement that helps keep you focused during your writing process. You may, at a later point in time, play around with the title and refine it, but at least through your writing process, it's almost like a very clear mission statement. And it's a great litmus test for you to help judge the writing that you're doing against the title. It's a great question to ask yourself. Is what I'm writing supporting the title? Because the minute that someone picks up your book, they see the title, they're like, oh, yes, that's me. I'm all in. And then they start reading and they feel like you're not fulfilling the promise. That's it. They're out. And you will never have a second chance to make a first impression. So once you have that title in place, you know the format of the book that you're going to be following. It now becomes easier to create a formal outline for the book for how your content should be. Then you're going to go back to your brain dump and plug in different elements of your brain dump into where it should fall in line inside of your outline. So this is how you have a whole complete strategy and a roadmap for writing. We're not waiting for inspiration. We're not waiting for motivation. And we're not waiting for the perfect words to tumble out of our brain. We have an intentional path to follow. Having a plan and a strategy helps you feel confident. You're going to want to show up to your writing sessions every single day or whatever your writing frequency happens to be. And when you're consistent, that is what actually develops momentum, motivation, and it helps you move you all the way through completion. So, for all of the people who think that having an outline is restrictive, okay, but I would challenge you to create one. And you'll find that it's not restrictive at all. Even when you have an outline in place, it doesn't mean that's all you can write. You can write other things and either figure out how those other things fit into this outline, if you need to adjust your outline, or if maybe you've written a little bit too much, a little bit too extra, and they belongs in a separate book. That's an idea. So nothing ultimately is wasted. Point is that we have a structure and a strategy that helps you get started and finish your writing. Structure creates confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency develops momentum, and your momentum will carry you all the way through to finishing your manuscript. What's one thing that you've struggled with in the process of trying to get started writing your book? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure you grab your free copy of the 4 Steps to Start Writing Your Book at 4stepstostartwriting.com. And then check out this video next, which is going to help you in the process of writing your thought leadership book. Click on it now, and I'll see you on the other side.